At this time, I'd like to call the Nashville Town Council meeting to order for the April 16th meeting. Would you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we invite you into this meeting tonight to lead us and guide us and to help us to make the right decision that will benefit all the citizens of Nashville. Amen.
Amen.
Tonight, Kate, our council member, is not here. She has a sinus infection and is running a temperature, so I'm thankful she chose to stay home with the temperature. The first item on our agenda is the approval of our minutes. The first minutes that need approval are the ones for March 5th. Having read these, did you see any corrections that needed to be made?
Mayor, the only thing that I saw on page 9, the third section down, where the second and the third are, both of them are the same thing, so one of them needs to be, the meaning didn't change, but it's just in it twice.
Okay, and you told her about that, the change.
I already get to it.
Okay, is there a motion to approve these minutes if there are no other corrections?
Move to approve with change.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. The second minutes that need to be approved are the minutes from March 19th, the Town Council Annual Budget Retreat. Were there any corrections to those minutes? If not, do I
Right, no, I have a correction.
Okay.
So,
What page?
page 28, I brought this up last meeting. Number 6, I went back and listened to the meeting today, and greater than 300 feet in length was not mentioned.
Where are we?
What page was that again?
Page 28 at the top.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
What was presented to us.
That was what was.
That was in the paperwork that was presented to us.
After the meeting. But in the meeting, we didn't discuss that. Those are conditions we talked about, and we never brought that up.
Right, but it says the written conditions are before the council for review and approval. That is what was presented to
But
us.
shouldn't the conditions be what we talked about in the meeting that
Well,
we
you'd have to
agreed
talk to the lawyer about that. I mean,
Previous meeting, Adam.
because that's what was presented to us.
I just want the minutes to reflect what we talked about. I mean, I don't want people to bring in extra stuff afterwards.
I think that would have been on the January 20th meeting. Because I don't think they're in the January 20th meetings, I don't know. This is what was presented to us that day. So that's why it says this is what was presented to us.
You talking about the meeting we had down there, the closed session? No.
In our meeting on the 19th, when I discussed the Liberty Acres, these 6 conditions were presented to y'all from the
Ace Needham's
Ace
attorney.
Needham's attorney.
She had written up the conditions, and this is what she wrote up, Bill.
I understand what you're saying, but I have to present that's presenting what they gave us.
That's what was presented, and that's what the council was considering concurrence with. And
So where did that come from? Where did the 300 feet come from?
So the 300 feet was something that we proposed to y'all because one of your concerns was that sidewalks were going nowhere. And so we had discussed it with our engineer, and the engineer said for the purposes of making sure that sidewalks loop and sidewalks do not go to nowhere, and that there would be enough room for emergency vehicles to make turns in the cul-de-sacs, that if we put a condition that limited feet, that would occur. So it was essentially just trying to make language that would provide you with what you were looking for. I mean, we could take it out. I mean, I could ask, yeah, we could take the 300 feet out and just say that the sidewalks will loop, but that's where it came from. You are correct in that we did not talk about specific feet, but we were just trying to give you language that would provide you what you were looking for that evening.
But we weren't looking for 300 feet. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. We weren't.
I understand that, but the condition language was really just something, right after we had discussed the conditions, Attorney Raspberry had said, we're going to engage in, Attorney Shapiro would give you a draft so you could look at it. And if you had that specific question, that is definitely something that we could have talked about taking out, but it was just a way to give you
We
what you were
discussed it
looking
the
for.
last time Kevin came to us. We discussed it. Correct?
We did,
Yeah.
and that was at,
We questioned why it was there last time.
and that was at the meeting that we're referring to the minutes now.
Right.
Right.
I don't know why it's there. I mean,
Attorney Raspberry, I don't know exactly.
My question
when
is,
we
why is it
actually
there?
saw-
Because they presented it to us. That was, these are the conditions they presented to us.
No, but why is it really there? Is what my question is. What's to get you? Yeah,
There is
am
no
I trying
budget.
to? You
It's
know,
really just to provide you with what you were looking for that evening. When you had said you didn't want sidewalks to go anywhere, that to go nowhere, to end nowhere, you also said that you wanted them to loop and connect, and that I believe it was Kevin who had let you know that the reason why sidewalks would stop is to be able to allow emergency vehicles to turn. And so the 300 feet is something that would provide you with that. And we're happy to take out the 300 feet, but it was to make sure sidewalks didn't go to nowhere.
Mayor, if I may.
You may.
I hope this is clarification. The minutes are simply a full and complete, legal term, reflection of what came before you at this hearing on the 19th. And this was a draft put before you that included that 300-foot reference. The actual approval of a final order is before you as a separate item, so it's there for discussion, and in fact, what the action of the council is depends upon how you dispose of that item on tonight's agenda. This is just simply in the minutes reflecting paperwork and discussion and all other information materials that were received on the 19th. So this is just a recitation that documents what was put before you, but it's not. It's just a record. That's all. It doesn't raise the issue in any substantive sense. It's just trying to.
does this
reflect.
hold us to 300 foot
No.
if they bring us a
No,
plan?
it's not.
No.
Absolutely not.
I think what happened initially, the 300 foot was conveyed to us, and after discussion, we chose not to put it in there. But this is what, like as you said, Raz, this is what was presented, but not what our end discussion was. Am I right?
Yes, sir. I mean, I think that's correct. This is just a record of what came before you, but it doesn't. It's just there to be historically correct, but it's not. It doesn't reflect your thoughts and
It's
doesn't
not
reflect.
historically correct. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, because because it is an accurate and full recitation of what actually was put before you. It's just a minute's record. That's all. But it's history at this point because something else is before you tonight. But this just reflects in the minutes what was put before you back then.
Okay.
I guess I'm dumb. I don't know.
You aren't dumb. You aren't dumb. You just misunderstood or whatever. So with that, are there any corrections to those minutes? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes for March 19th?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And the last minutes that we need to approve of the March 28th, the special call meeting minutes, did you see any corrections that needed to be made to those?
I did not.
If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. The minutes are approved. The public comments, we have public hearings tonight, so if you're speaking to any of the ones on the agenda that we're going to have public comments, would you please hold those to that time? So thank you very much. Is there anybody here that's not going to speak to one of the items on our agenda tonight? Okay. And Lou, would you please time everyone tonight?
Joey Rabel, 404 South Austin Street in Nashville, North Carolina. Larry brought this up at the last meeting about the recycling trucks coming in and then since then it's been coming in about 3:30, 4:30 in the morning. And that's before school hours and before the town. Usually the town comes in about 5 or 6 o'clock, but this is coming in about 4:30 in the morning and slamming and waking me up or something. It needs to be, y'all need to take care of this or talk to the school system or talk to the school or talk to our recycling company to stop going in about 3:30 in the morning for this. Thank you.
Joey.
Yeah, I was going to tell you too,
Well, go ahead.
that I watched for them this week. The recycling is who I'm talking about that picks up our bins. I don't know if that's who you're talking about.
No, it's the schools.
It's the ones that pick up the big.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's different.
And so,
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
and so we don't
okay.
have any jurisdiction over that. Yeah.
It's coming in about 3:30 in the morning.
That's the dumpster, yeah. The
Yeah.
dumpster, we fixed the whole, the recycle folks. They're coming
Yeah.
after 6:30 now. But the dumpster, that's the school
And they,
system.
and they're, it's the same companies doing our recycling.
Different truck, though.
Different truck,
Yeah.
but at 4 o'clock in the morning.
And we
I
have any
agree.
control over that?
Randy, can you contact the school system?
The county.
Of the
schools.
county, have them address that?
I can.
Because it's like, it's breaking people,
understand.
and it's in the city limits in the city. I mean, you got a bunch of houses and apartments near the schools, so.
Yeah.
And
I
there's,
understand.
sometimes it gets,
We'll make sure we understood what you're saying, because it's
Yeah.
different topic. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you,
Thank you, Joey, so very much. The next item on our agenda is the board appointment.
These are, these,
We have this. If you want to speak, or we passed that now, because I want to speak.
Are you going to speak about
I am.
an item on an agenda?
Well, it has something to do with this National Business Center building that's adjacent to Lakeview Drive, which is right beside our property. We have some serious environmental issues.
Well, that's a
That's
diff,
the public hearing.
that, you can speak, that's a public hearing, so come on up, please, and state your name.
no,
Yeah, they come
What?
up later. That comes up in the thing.
What, is that considering, his building is where?
It's on the National Business Center, and Lakeview Drive is adjacent to the National Business Center.
Oh, there's a public hearing on that, are you, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you wait till we get there, there is a public hearing on that.
Later this evening?
Tonight, yes.
Later today, yeah. We've got so many buildings and everything.
this, my package is out of-
167.
out of order.
What page, John?
It's page 167.
167.
Okay, I'm trying to find
Thank
them.
you. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So we are here today for a tree board reappointment. We have Elaine Robertson, which Elaine is here with us tonight if you want to stand up for us. So Elaine has served on our tree board since its inception 3 years ago. She has been an asset to that board, and we would like to request that we appoint her for another 1-year term.
We thank her so much for serving, and do I hear a motion to appoint Elaine Robinson to continue serving on our Nashville Tree Board for another year?
So made.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Robinson.
Thank you so very much. The next item on our agenda is the land annexation. Randy?
Give me a page. Randy, give me a page.
168.
Wait, and I'll give you one right now.
168. Okay, he killed me.
Yeah. 168.
I'm in the middle of my package.
So at the March 5th council meeting, the council certified the sufficiency of an annexation petition to annex 48 acres of land off Washington Street, which is now owned by the town, and it abuts the Stony Creek Environmental Park, and a scheduled public hearing was set for tonight. Notice of that annexation public hearing was published in the April 11th edition of the Nashville Graphic, and letters were sent to abutting property owners regarding that annexation hearing. At this time, the council can open and hold a public scheduled public hearing and receive oral and written comments on this annexation. Upon conclusion of that public hearing, the council then consider adoption of ordinance 2024-03 annexing the 48 acres into the town of Nashville.
Do I hear a motion that we go into a public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak to this issue, the annexation of the town's 48 acres off Washington Street?
Does everybody know what 48 acres we're talking about? Randy, would you, for
Yeah, I'll see if I
clarification?
can find it here quick.
He's looking for it.
Through all these crazy minutes.
$170, I think.
What's this right here?
Catch up.
Did you get it?
I'm just waiting for the new budget year to get a different computer.
I think for the sake of time, I think if you just explain to where it's
Sure.
located, most people probably know what
So
we're
this
talking about.
48 acres abuts the Stony Creek Environmental Park. It's behind the car wash and Nashville Drive, down by McDonald's and the gas station down there. And it's all timber ground. And we got an EEG grant through the Secretary of State to purchase it, and the council purchased that land a couple meetings back. And we're choosing at this time to include it into the corporate limits of the town of Nashville. There's nothing on it, it's just timber ground.
Right. If there's no comments, do I hear a motion to close this public hearing?
Move to close?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. So at this time, do I hear a motion for us to approve ordinance 2024-03 annexing this property into the town of Nashville?
So moved. Second?
Second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is Liberty Acres, 175.
I got it.
So, Mayor and Council, on February 6th, the council approved Alex, Ivy, and Eric, I'm going to say this wrong, but Avigli, Ace Neum LLC special use permit for townhouse development in the Liberty Acres 2 at the end of Liberty Drive with several conditions that the applicants accept it. Ace Neum's attorney, Letitia Shapiro, wrote up the conditions in the attached findings of fact and conclusion of law, and the conclusions listed below. The development intensity shall not exceed 88 residential units. There shall be fencing along the rear yards of any lot that abuts the recreation area. The recreation area shall abut the street right-of-way. The development shall include a minimum of two parking areas. Any sidewalks located between units shall be 12 or 10 feet in width, and sidewalk system within the development shall be looped with no dead-end sidewalks greater than 300 feet in length. And then at the March 19th council meeting, the council reviewed the applicant's write-up of the agreed-upon conditions from the February 6th council meeting and left concurrence with the written conditions open, wanting to review the meeting minutes and video of the meeting to clarify the wording of the conditions. The applicant's attorney has, in the meantime, submitted the following rewording of condition number 1 to read as follows. The development intensity shall not exceed 88 residential units with building separation that meets or exceeds the minimum of 20 feet required by section 18-1111 of the Nashville Land Use Development Ordinance. So attached is the is the attorney's findings of fact and conclusion of law amended on page 178 with the revised condition number 1, that the development intensity shall not exceed 88 units with building separation that meets or exceeds the minimum 20-foot required separation in section 18-111. So what you have before you this evening is to concur with these conditions or not.
So do I hear a motion that we concur with the written conditions that have been made by Ace Neiman LLC's Liberty Acres Townhouse Development Special Use Permit?
Well, I want to make a point of clarification. The point of clarifying in this paragraph that says clarify and listen to the meetings, that was me saying that, and that's what I did today, and the 300 foot's not there. So I want to bring that back up again. I'm going to vote for this, but I want to make sure it's clear
We'll
that
take your 300 out.
that's what we questioned, and that's why it keeps coming back up, and I don't know why. And I'm okay if it's a simple answer, but I haven't got a simple answer. So anyways, that's my
So
point.
do you want to make a motion that we do approve this to concur with the written?
I'll make a motion that we approve
Is
this.
there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
The next item on our agenda.
Mayor, if I may, just for the record, if we could just note that those conditions, as finally adopted, were consented to by the applicant for the special use permit. If
Okay.
that can just be,
Okay,
to make sure we're square on that,
okay.
because that's an important point.
Didn't they send them to us?
Well, there was some revision, and I guess if Ms. Shapiro could come to the podium just to make
Okay,
that
that'd be
clear, I
fine.
think it'd be, since we've had a lot of discussion about
So
this.
with your desire to just take out that 300 feet, we're happy to do that. So essentially, that last one would just say the sidewalk system within the development shall be looped and not be stubbed. So we could take out that whole no dead-end sidewalks greater than 300 feet in length. And that's what we're
I'll do whatever the
consenting.
council pleases, but it came up, we put it in the minutes that it came up, and now it keeps coming up, and I'm looking like a fool, but it's in there.
No, you
It's in there. We talked about it, that's the reason it's in there. So whatever y'all decide,
So we just
I'll,
need to make it clear that if you want the language out, we're consenting to take it out. If you want us to leave it as is, we're able to do that also.
I don't have a problem with it, but since he wants it out, I have no problem with it being taken out. The developer has agreed to all of that,
So take out that
so just
300.
take it out.
Yeah, take it out.
I'll make a motion, we approve it, with taking that out.
Is there a second?
Second.
So
We've
for the
already-
record, can we get clarification that it will read, the sidewalk system within the development shall be looped and not stubbed?
Right.
Right.
Correct.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Is that
Thank you.
clear?
Thank you.
It'll be looped and not stubbed.
Looped and not stubbed.
The next item on our agenda is the engineering contract for Glover Park. Coy?
Good evening again. So at the December 5th council meeting, council approved a contract with the NC Department of Natural and Cultural Resources for funding through the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund, or Part F, for the Glover Park Improvement Project. And the scope of that project includes construction of a splash pad, pickleball courts, and construction of a picnic shelter with restrooms. So the next step in completing that project is to select a qualified firm for professional design and engineering services. So the town solicited requests for qualifications from civil engineering firms for this project as required by North Carolina General Statute 143-64.31, procurement of architectural, engineering, and surveying service. So we received back 3 submittals from Stocks Engineering, Timmons Group, and RVE Incorporated. All 3 firms have designed and overseen a number of similar projects. So Mr. Lansing, myself, and Ms. Hamlet reviewed and scored these SOQs, and we selected Stocks Engineering as the most qualified firm. So since then, I've met with Kevin Varnell, who's here with us tonight from Stocks, discussed the needs for the project and the budget for the project. And based on those conversations, Stocks Engineering has submitted the attached proposal, which is in your packet, for civil engineering design services. So the total for that proposal is $79,095, and this figure was included in our cost estimate for the project and was within budget. So at this time, we're asking you to consider that proposal, and again, Kevin from Stocks is here if you have any questions for him on the proposal.
Do any of you have any questions?
As long as the grant covers everything,
Yeah.
engineering and construction.
Yeah.
So the grant award, so the total project cost is $632,760, and the grant covers half of that, which is $316,380. But in that, and the cost estimate that we submitted with that grant is in your packet. It does include construction management, site planning, preliminary design, et cetera, at the amount of $79,095.
If there are no other questions, do I hear a motion for us to approve Resolution 2024-17, awarding a design and construction engineering contract to Stocks Engineering of Nashville for the Glover Park?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Question. Corey, once again, the total cost was how much now?
$632,316.
And the Part F grant was what?
So it covers half. It is a requirement for us to match that. It's a 50-50 matching grant.
Okay, and that was to start with. Okay, all right.
The next item on our agenda is real estate purchase. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Randy and Coy.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Fellowship Church in Nashville has offered to sell its property at 191 White Oak Road to the town of Nashville. The town has checked out the property and the buildings and facilities and believe it's ideal for Parks and Recreation Department, their current uses, and for the town hall's near future uses. With the town council's recent approval of 370 new residential building lots in Bradford Place subdivision, the Cardinal Woods subdivision, along Birchwood Drive, Breedlove Road subdivision, and the Liberty Acres townhouse development, and more proposed on the way, the town will need additional staff and employees in fire, police, public works, planning, parks and rec, library, human resources, finance department, and administration. A study by our human resource director shows the town will need approximately 20 plus new employment positions over the next 3 to 5 years to keep pace with this growth in our community. And our current facilities for the police, library, planning, finance, human resources, and administration are full with no open office spaces in any of their facilities. Acquisition of the Fellowship Church will provide ample office space and storage for planning, finance, and administration. Their relocation from our current town hall will enable the police department to move into town hall and have it become the police station. In turn, their departure from the police and fire station presently will be used by the fire department for its operations. The church property also provides a large council chambers within that facility if it is town hall. The current council chambers, as you know, is here at the library. If we move that out to Old White Oak Road, then the library can then use this facility where we are this evening for additional and expansion of its circulation offerings, study rooms, meeting rooms, programming rooms, office space, and storage. The church's buildings have over 22,000 square feet of space, including a full-size gymnasium, multi-purpose rooms, several classrooms, and offices which are ideal for our park and recreation use. The property also has an asphalt surface parking lot with 180 parking spaces. There will be costs and expense to remodeling the church facilities to accommodate the town's park and rec, planning department, and finance, human resources, and administration, but it will be significantly less than expanding the size of the current town hall from 5,000 square feet to 10,000 square feet, a cost estimated at $450 per square foot, which would be about $2.25 million to double the size of the town hall that we're in right now. The expanded town hall does not give the police or library any additional space. The town's new fire station at 1520 Oak Level Road is 9,500 in square feet in size, and its cost is $4.7 million or $505 per square foot for construction, architect, and engineering fees. At this price, if we were to build a new 22,000 square foot facility, it would cost $11,110,000 to duplicate the church's space at today's construction prices. Taking all this into consideration, purchasing the church property for $1,500,000 on a 3-year contract with $500,000 per year for 3 years with 5% interest, and using it for a park and rec and future town hall is in the best interest of the town of Nashville. And with that, we do have a PowerPoint presentation that we would like to give the council and the audience. And upon conclusion of that, Mayor, we would like to open the public hearing on this.
Okay.
Thank you. So we collectively as a group have put together this presentation to try to give you a comprehensive look at the property and the idea or vision that we have for it. And I'm going to try to go through this quickly. Some of it Mr. Lansing just covered in his overview. So next slide, please. So as you know, the town has an opportunity to purchase the old Fellowship Church property. This is obviously a big decision for the town, and there's a lot to consider. And the main reason we're considering this property is to meet current and future needs of the town in a cost-effective manner. We will cover all of these bullet points that are on this slide when we get it back up on the screen. So while we're waiting on that, just a little bit about the property. The property does sit on 5.52 acres with approximately 22,000 square feet of indoor space. That space includes 2 sanctuaries, a gymnasium, 14 classrooms/offices, a kitchen, and 3,400 square foot upstairs. And just to give you a comparison, our existing rec center at 108 South Body Street is approximately 3,200 square foot. So counting the spaces along the side and the back of the building, it includes a 180 car parking lot, and it also includes the parsonage, which is a double wide, and that square footage is included in that total 22,000. Next slide. So the plan or idea that we have is to upfit the building as a municipal complex. We can relocate all of town hall personnel and services to this property. One of the sanctuaries can be converted into a new, larger, more versatile council chambers. And sorry, Mayor, Council, but the columns do have to stay here in this one. So we can also utilize the gym and the rec room for recreation purposes, and I'll go more into those in a later slide. So the next slide just shows a breakdown of our current needs in regards to space. So this is rooms that we currently have. The 12 offices at Town Hall also includes offices we would need for Parks and Rec. And then on the next slide, using the information that Trey Sanderson, our HR director, gathered and presented in our budget retreat, this is the projected future employment needs for Town Hall and Parks and Rec. And this projection this is projected comparing Nashville to other municipalities of similar size or to a size similar to what our projected growth is projected to be. And I do want to note that this is over 10 years. So with future growth in mind, this is what else the property can do that it would allow us to do. So by moving council chambers to the new facility, the library now has room to grow here. By moving town hall to new facility, the police department would be able to move into the existing town hall, setting them up for future growth. This allows the fire department to utilize the entire police fire complex for Station 1. And we currently lease a property to use as a police substation. With the purchase of this property, we would no longer need to continue that lease. And of course, the existing gymnasium offers significant potential for expansion of recreation programs. So this really sets up every department, with the exception of Public Works, up for growth in a cost-effective manner. If we were to try to add to all these facilities or build new facilities, it would come with a hefty price tag. So there are pros and cons to consider in every decision, and that includes this one. And I plan to go over both, starting with the pros. So acquiring this property addresses the immediate needs and provides flexibility for future expansion. Currently, there is not an empty office at Town Hall, and there's not adequate storage space. So if we were to hire somebody in admin, planning, or finance, we have nowhere to put them, no office for them. With a larger, more versatile council chambers, we can accommodate larger meetings and events. I know we've had times at this facility where we've reached max capacity and had to turn people away or set up other accommodations for them to watch the meeting remotely. So hopefully this wouldn't be an issue moving forward. So now for my favorite slide, Parks and Rec. So what we envision for the gym is to offer open gym and free play activities. So normally municipalities would offer a membership at a nominal fee, and people can come in and use the gym for self-guided recreation. So once parents register their kids of a certain age would also be able to come in and use the gym without their parents being with them. So this gives an opportunity for kids to be active, socialize, and recreate after school or during the summer while they wait for their parents to get off work. Along with open gym, we can turn one of the other rooms into a rec room, which could offer additional self-guided recreation activities such as ping pong, foosball, billiards, etc. The gym can also accommodate larger events, which we cannot currently accommodate, such as banquets, receptions, sporting events, and special events. This can be town-sponsored events as well as an option for citizens to rent the facility for their events. So we can also offer organized sports. I still do not think it makes sense for us to have activities to compete with what Nash County Recreation already offers, but we can fill the gaps. And currently, we are able to use the gym at Nashville Elementary School 2 nights a week, and we use that time for our pickleball program, which has been extremely successful. I've had a lot of requests for us to offer open gym hours at the elementary school gym, but I hate to stop a successful program in order for us to do so. So this facility would allow us to offer pickleball at more hours and to offer other programs. And I also know, talking with Thomas Gillespie from Nash County, that it is a struggle for them. They use Nashville Elementary School gym as well 3 nights a week when we're not using it. And during basketball season, that is a struggle for them not having those 2 extra nights. So if we got this other facility, that would free up some time at the elementary school for those activities. So that moves us to our cons, and they should be considered as well. At the top of the list is the cost. The initial cost is a significant financial investment for the town, and that cost is 1.5 million spread evenly over 3 years with 5% interest. There would be significant upfit to renovate the facility to meet our needs. And again, I think it's worth noting that these upfits do not need to happen right away. It can be over time. My suggestion would be to purchase the building while it's available. We can go ahead and start using that gym for recreation purposes. Go ahead and bid out and hire a firm to design, provide blueprints and a cost estimate, and then seek out grants for those upfits to cover a portion or all of those upfit costs. So no rush, we can do it over several years. Another con is the facility is not on the town's water and sewer system. The property does have a well and a septic system, and we can add it to our existing system, but it would come at a cost to add that infrastructure to do so. The property is not currently within town limits, but it is in the ETJ. By road, it is 0.59 miles out of town, or exactly 1 mile door to door from our existing town hall. We can easily annex this property into the town, and one of the questions I've received is if we would annex other properties in the area into town. And just for everybody's knowledge, the town cannot force annex any property into town limits. So we would love to have them in town limits, but by no means would we force them to do so if they're not interested. And last on the list is having in-person utility payments taken at this facility is a little off the beaten path from what people are accustomed to, but we do have other bill pay options such as online payment, bank pay, auto draft, and credit cards. So some of the other expenses, if council decides to move forward, we did request a 60-day due diligence period, and we would need to inspect the facility in more detail. We did receive 2 proposals from Dawson Construction Services. One is to do a design fit test where they would do a conceptual drawing of the building laid out with the facilities that we anticipate needing, including those 21 offices, recreation programming space, storage facilities, etc. That proposal came back at $3,500 to do that. The other is to complete an inspection and give an assessment of the current condition of all plumbing, mechanical, electrical, and structural elements of the building. And the price for that came back at $11,866. We would also like to sample the water from the well and do a drawdown test so we could see what its capacity is. That came back at $3,500. And the cost for upfits would be determined based on required renovations and upgrades. But again, they do not need to be done right away. So slide 12, I'll turn over to Mr. Lansing.
So one of the things we did in 2020 is through the Rocky Mountain MPO, Nashville submitted 2 road projects for consideration. They did garner enough points locally at the MPO level to get passed on to the NCDOT for consideration. The DOT does not move fast. We were notified last month that our 2 projects are going to be looked at and considered by DOT staff here in June. And then if they give it a thumbs up, it comes back to the MPO. The MPO gives it thumbs up. And then those 2 street extensions can be programmed. One of them is a link between Western Avenue and Old White Oak Road or Cook Road. And that would connect the town's West Nashville Commerce Park, which is down on Cook Road, give it a direct access to Western Avenue and 64. That road segment being built and put into place would also give this facility a more direct access to Western Avenue and maybe a quicker route for people, for citizens to get to us. So I wanted to remind the council of that this is a project and rather timely. It's going to be considered here in June Hopefully it gets the thumbs up. If it does get approved for funding, it would likely take 5 to 7 years before it actually comes to fruition.
So one thing we haven't covered is what to do with the rec center we're currently renovating at the old Acme Dry Cleaners building. And we do have some options for that facility. While we wait for any upfits at the new building, which should be over several years, I envision us keeping our offices downtown and continuing to offer programs at the downtown facility. We would use the gym at the new facility to add to our existing programs, but keep our current offerings in downtown. And if or when council deemed it necessary for us to move all operations to the new facility, I envision using the downtown facility as a Nashville Welcome Center. We could continue to utilize this space as a rental facility for birthday parties, baby showers, meetings, and other events. And I also think eventually Nashville will need a full-time employee dedicated to the MSD or the downtown district, such as a downtown development coordinator. And this facility could serve as their office. And there is always the option to sell this facility, but personally, I truly think that Nashville has a need for it, and we would regret selling it if we didn't have to. And that completes my presentation. The rest of the slides we have in here are pictures and blueprints of the facility. This is one of the sanctuaries we have envisioned for council chambers. It's just a shot of that gymnasium. This is the additional sanctuary, and the picture is a little deceiving. We should have stepped to the back of the room so you could see how big that room is. It is smaller than the first sanctuary you saw. This is just a picture of the hallway in that downtown area with the classrooms and offices coming off that hallway. This is the kitchen in the facility and the window you see there does open up into the gymnasium area. This is the nursery they have in there. And the next few pictures are of that upstairs area. So it is split into 4 separate rooms. But again, that total square footage is right at 3,400 square foot.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So-
Thank you.
So at this time, do I hear a motion that we open the public hearing?
I move to open the public hearing.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
First on the list to speak about the purchase of the real estate is Wayne Sears.
Mayor Brown. First, I want to preference that I'm here as citizen of Nashville 606 Golfers Lane and not in my role as the chairman of the Nashville Planning Board. Second, I want to preface this by saying my comments are not toward this council or others present, but toward mistakes I feel like the city has made in the past. And so from those mistakes, I want to make a point about this project here. In this very council building, about 4 years ago, we had 2 meetings over Birchwood Country Club being acquired by the town of Nashville for approximately $1.1 million. And here we sit in 2024, and we have an Elks Lodge and another housing development. Housing developments can go many places, farm fields to forest. But we had one piece of land in the city of Nashville, in the center of Nashville, with ponds, walking trails, open space, a swimming pool, a multi-story 10,000-foot building, storage buildings, and we let it go. We let it go and didn't pursue it. 5 years ago, we had a chance to build a fire station to improve our insurance rates, our quality of life, accessibility to emergency services for our citizens. We let it go. We're building a fire station right now that is 50% complete that cost us $4.7 million. 1.5 to 4.7 in 5 years because we did not act. Now, I'm not a real estate appraiser, but I know what $1.5 million looks like, and I know what $7 million looks like. That is a steal. That is a chance for this city to acquire a complex for our future. Our town is going south. That is south. Our manager said that we have almost 370 units in construction or planned. We have no office space. Our fire department is full. Our police department just got full. They have no office space. We have to have support services. We have to have the ability to get ahead and not behind of growth. The growth is coming. And I ask this council, look at this project, look at it as a future investment in the city and the services it will take to keep us going. And let's not make the two mistakes. There were millions of dollars in error that we did before. I think that's a viable project. I think it's well worth the dollar, and I think it's the future of where we need to be for all of our city services. Thank you.
Thank you so much. James Lynch is the next person. James Lynch. James Baker, were you going to speak to this?
I live at 103 East Green Street. I just wish that on the fact about relocating the town hall, that right now I think there's one thing that everybody realizes, that we got a fact that the taxpayers, where is this money going to come from? There's a lot of people out here that's struggling from paycheck to paycheck. Right now, they're having it hard. And we know that one big bad word, inflation, is killing everybody. Don't get me wrong, I think this is a good idea, but I think the time is wrong. And I think that we really need to wait to let the dust settle to see how things are going, because it's no surprise. Our country right now and our economy is in bad shape. And interest rates up to 7%. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people right now. Some people can put steak and all on their table, but there's some folks out there right now who's having to subject themselves to eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. People are having it hard. And I just wish that y'all would just consider both sides.
Thank you. Mr. Lynch, did you say? No. Okay. Steve Davis.
Thank you for having me. I'm a resident of Lakeview Drive, which is adjacent to the Nashville Business Center. And what I
think this is the wrong time.
This is the wrong one.
Oh,
so you,
another Steve Davis?
It's
No.
my fault. I just saw.
We have several open meetings. This is
You'll
wrong.
be on the next one.
It's coming. It's coming.
Al Hyde. At least we'll know you when the night's over.
Good evening. I live at 117 West Washington Street here in Nashville. Taxes. I just met with someone in the tax office this week. My property went up 75% in tax. 75%. A lot of people are going to be going to the tax office. I hear what people have said, but I'm not married to a real estate agent. I'm not a real estate agent serving on the town council. I'm not giving seminars in the library, and I'm not being endorsed by the town of Nashville, as one of our council members seems to be.
Can we keep this straight to the point, not
Yeah,
getting
just
personal?
talk about what your issue.
Well, my issue is we don't need it right now.
Okay, that's fine.
Birchwood had the opportunity, if they wanted to save their neighborhood, to do so. There are people sitting here in this room that could have not gone in Birchwood Country Club 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. And their tax dollars would have been used to save Birchwood. It was up to the people that lived there to do it. If they chose not to, then I'm sorry, it's on them. We are in an inflationary period, and 1.5 million might be what's proposed right now, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. The economy is going to continue to be choppy. Interest rates, I don't see going down anytime soon. And Lord knows what we'll get into when we get into a church and trying to get everything to code. Okay? My next question is, how long has the church been sitting there unoccupied as a church? We still use it. You still use it. So I don't think it's going anywhere, right? I just think it's the wrong time. I think that he was correct in everything he said. Another thing that hasn't been mentioned is infrastructure. Our infrastructure here is horrible. I'm having problems with water pressure. Other people in Nashville are. Why are we not addressing what we already have? And following that, there's a lot of turnover here in the town of Nashville. So it's hard for me to believe that there is no empty spaces. Sometimes you have to make do, and this is one of those times.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Got a hand. Oh, he's coming up.
Just a question.
Yes. Wait and come up when he finishes, okay?
How much money do we got?
Let him finish, and then you can come up to the podium.
I'm getting ready to ask that same question. Larry Cockrell, 205 East Church Street, Nashville. I grew up on White Oak Road. Just before you round the curve to get to this piece of property is where I grew up, 4/10 of a mile from the railroad tracks. There is a 2-inch water line that services where Allen was down to where the CP&L warehouse used to be in the sharp curve just before this piece of property. In order to put utilities to this piece of property, water line's going to have to be installed, which would be an increase. Sewer line would have to be installed, which would be an increase. None of that figure has even been brought up tonight, other than to say infrastructure would have to be improved. The road that I just saw being proposed from the business center over across, nothing was said about the railroad that's going to have to be crossed. And if I'm not mistaken, that is the Nash County Railroad, which was also part of the CSX system before it was subdivided out. Building that road's not going to be cheap in this day and time. That would be approximately a 1 to 1.5 mile road, based on what I know about the area growing up. And that road's not going to be cheap. You're looking at probably $3 to $5 million just to get it started. That's just the clearing part. So I know that growth is imminent. I know that we have to keep up with the growth. But with the hidden expenses, $1.5 million is cheap. But when you start adding in a new road between now and 10 years down the line, new sewer, new water, because that sewer system is not very big. I watched it being put in. That well, I don't think is going to give you as much water as you think it's going to give. It would be great for the church because they're only there 1 to 2 days a week, correct? So they're not using very much water. You start putting in kids in the gym, town offices, bathrooms, and the rest of the water usage. That little 2-inch line that Larry and I lived on for years, or Alan, I should say, that was your brother, Larry. It's not going to serve that building because it's only like a 2-inch line. And my dad paid for part of that to go in. Time for my pills. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you may come.
I just had a question.
Yeah, here, raise his hand. The green shirt.
Lewis Smith, Griffin Street, Nashville. I've been a resident here for about 30 years. 25 plus years ago, moved here. Town hall's on Washington Street. Then we moved to Barnes Street. Now we're moving out of town. Randy mentioned the road. There was talk of that road 20 years ago. There is a railroad crossing that is already there, a rural railroad crossing there, so getting that is just kind of working with the railroad to get it approved to be something better, if we can get DOT to approve that. What if growth doesn't go that way? First of all, let me say, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm for or against. I'm saying that these are some things I've got on my mind for consideration, and you guys have got some tough decisions to make. So I just want to bring some points forward to think about. I think it is a good price. I've been fire inspector for 20-some years. I know about fire codes and upfitting those buildings from one assembly to another and doing that stuff. It's not cheap. But when you get a good price on a building, that does make upfits a lot easier. The one question I do have, it's already been brought up about our town infrastructure, 1.5 million towards our current infrastructure that is in bad shape. That's something to think about as well. What happens if the town doesn't grow out that direction and we go in a different direction? Now we've got a town hall that's outside. I know it can be annexed in, satellite annexation, but I think there's some general statute that says some restrictions on how many satellite annexations you can have for a municipality. I could be wrong on that, but I know it was in some general statute at one time. What does it say to our downtown strong folks when we move further and further away from them, when we're trying to revitalize the downtown area? We're extending our downtown area down Barn Street towards where the farmer's market is. Just some things to think about. If we've got $1.5 million to spend for this, I've heard several council members recently say things about, looking out for the volunteers, the tree board, planning board, volunteer fire department, the volunteers in the fire department. Can we do anything for those volunteers as well as spending money on other projects? Just ask them.
Thank you. Larry, do you want to come up or ask your question? Is anybody else on the, I think that's it. Would you like to come and ask your question or just ask it from there?
Needs to come up for the mic.
You want to answer that, please?
10.8 million. That's what we have available right now. Is that unassigned fund balance? I met with the auditor today, so that amount is not available at the moment, but I will have it. I have it available soon.
Sounds like we're gonna have a tax cut then. Have we got that much?
I'd like to say that it may sound wonderful, but just like your grocery store bill has grown up and your gas bill has gone up, everything that we purchase for this town has gone up too, believe you me. So we don't have any more extra money than anybody, any of you citizens. I live in Nashville. I live by myself, so my taxes went up 60%, and I'm on my own. So I understand where you are, but believe you me, when we don't have an excess of money because everything we buy, equipment, materials, they always go up. So I would just like to make that perfectly clear.
Can you explain the fund balance? I didn't quite get what you meant.
So
Can you go to the podium? So you get the aid of the microphone.
So today I met with the auditor. We are close to completing we're close to completing the 2023 audit, so that I can give actual numbers, which I prefer to give. I don't want to give you an estimate. I want to give you actual. So hopefully before the end of April, we'll have an actual fund balance.
Okay, so the 10.8 million, we really,
That's what we have in our accounts. That is what we have, but it's not our fund balance.
Aren't we kind of late getting in there?
We are. Our previous auditor retired with no notice, so we hired someone. Then we had turnover, so then that job got laid in my lap, and I am doing my very best, and I want it done right. So it is taking a little bit of time, but he expects to have it done before the end of April.
The key in an audit is an unassigned fund balance.
I understand. Yep, I will have it available for you. Anything else? Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Ed White, or E.A. White Jr. I've lived on Old White Oak Road. The address is 612 Old White Oak Road for a better part of 60 years, and I'm 66 years old. I have a concern with the traffic. I don't know what the daily traffic count is on Old White Oak Road right now. And I don't know what the foot traffic is in and out of your town hall. But I can tell you as a resident there, that's already a busy road. So I hope that you will take into consideration what the traffic impact is going to have. I understand you've referenced the fact your possibility of putting a new road in, but you don't have any residents that live west of the park, the business park. So it's not making a lot of sense to me when you say that's going to help relieve any pressure coming out that road. Making access, I don't buy that one either. And the last thing that I would say as a comment, as I said, I've been on that hill where I live since I was a young man, raised, born there. And I can assure you, out of my neighbors that live around me and discussions that I'd have, none of us are going to request to be annexed.
And that's fine.
I understand that, but the word was growth that way. I don't think you're going to get any growth between the town limits now and where you're talking about going. Final observation. Do you know if this property is satellite annexed, is there another town hall or a city hall within the state of North Carolina that is isolated on a piece of property, satellite annexed? Thank you.
And I would like to say that we have discussed if this land would be purchased, that for the people that want to go and pay their water bills, that you still would be able to do that right here in Nashville. Because we considered that with some of the elderly people that were concerned about that. Any other comments? If not, do I hear a motion that we close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
So,
I have a question before we go further. Randy Carr gave us a few figures about upfitting this piece of property, but I'm quite sure he didn't touch all the bases. What will it cost? Give us a ballpark figure of what this upfitting is going to cost us. We've got to upfit the building itself. We've got to do something about the sewer. We've got to do something about the water line. I think the 180 parking spaces is a gracious overkill, because I've never seen a town hall got 180 parking people coming at the same time. So
it has a gym. They'll be out there.
It has a gym, but with the gym comes more utilities plus another individual talk. Can you give us a better feel for what it's going to cost us? I know the selling price is a great price, but a great price may not be the great fit. Okay, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I need some more, as close as we can get to some figures of what it's going to cost us to upfit it.
Well,
Just because we got a good fund balance, unassigned fund balance, we hope, doesn't mean we need to spend it.
I understand. I don't have that figure, that number for you, Larry. As Coy had mentioned, we have reached out to Dawson Construction Services, and they are able to work with us for a small fee to determine what the upfit cost would be. My preliminary projections would probably be looking at anywhere from $600,000 to $700,000 to bring it all up to our standard to accommodate Park and Rec, Town Hall, the planning department, finance department, everything that we currently have in Town Hall. So to give you an actual, I don't have that, but that's kind of the ballpark figure that I've been kicking around, taking a look at the scope of what needs to be done, the prices that we've been paying for remodeling the dry cleaner building to accommodate our needs for Park and Rec, and using that kind of as the basis. Coy, I don't know if you have anything more substantial.
What I've learned is what I think things should cost and what they do cost are two completely different things. So I would be afraid to throw a number at it. What I do know is just the one figure that we were given an estimate on. We do know if you use the upstairs portion, we would have to add an elevator. They estimated that to be at about $120,000 for that elevator. Another thing I just wanted to note is Chief Joyner and I had a conversation with Kara Rogers, who's a grant writer that's written some grants for the town before and been successful at it. We just talked her through this project and what we were looking at, and one of the things she informed us of is there are very few, if any, grants out there for new construction, but there are a lot of grants out there for upfit. So I do feel like if we, lay the groundwork, get what the blueprints are going to look like and a cost estimate and seek out those grants, I feel confident that we can find some to cover a portion or all of that.
Yeah.
Well, I would hope that would come to fruition before we divot into that.
Yeah.
And the move with taking the police department and moving them into town hall, I counted the officers and what they've got now and what the town hall would provide, and they don't have, they're downsizing as far as rooms if they move to town hall. They've got more room where they are now. And the fire department needing to have all of it there. I mean, we're building a new fire station to relieve to make room for trucks and for training and stuff like that. But that's what Fire Station 2 stands for, is for doing that. I'm not completely sold yet. I need some more numbers.
If you had an opportunity to look at the proposed purchase contract, there is a 60-day due diligence period in there.
Right.
And that will give us time to have the well assessed, to have the septic system assessed, to know what its likely capacity is.
Mm-hmm.
If we put all the offices out there and have that kind of water usage, will the well supply it?
No.
Will the septic system handle it? We will know that after that assessment. If we hire Dawson Construction Services to help us estimate the cost of upfitting that, which we can do well within that 60-day time period and have that reported. The contract says at the end of the 60-day due diligence period, we don't have to go forth with the purchase. We can back out. We lose our $5,000 earnest money if we do that, but we don't have to go through with the purchase. So, we had RAS draw up that contract with that language in it to give us the opportunity to thoroughly assess that property and its cost, or what it's going to cost us to upfit it for our future needs, so that you guys can make a good decision on it.
Well, I would ask the citizens that are here and those that may be watching on YouTube or whatever, I'm here to be convinced.
So am I.
Call me, talk to me, do whatever. And I know there are some pros. There are a lot of pros for this. And I understand what Mr. Sears said about the birchwood and stuff like that. Getting back to birchwood, we did our due diligence to try to get birchwood, but anyway, we got out snookered. But I just think we need to, well, like you say, our grace period for trying to get these numbers, and I'd feel more comfortable if I found out. I mean, you just told me about the elevator. That's only just a portion of what we're gonna have to invest out there. Elevators don't come cheap, nowhere, if it don't go with one floor.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
If I may just say this, this particular project was published in the graphic on Thursday and also on the town's website. And from that publishing, I've received some phone calls. The phone calls that I have received, people have mentioned location, out of town, and when I began to explain that Nashville is somewhat landlocked, they said, Harrison, it may be landlocked, but that location is a concern for us, because if you take certain individuals, certain socioeconomic backgrounds who may not be as fortunate with transportation and may have to walk or rely on others, you're moving it from a walkability perspective. And then other phone calls came in and they said, well, Harrison, the county just went through, and I know we've already mentioned this, reevaluations. And they said in those reevaluations, we have incurred expenses, and we are afraid that taxes are going to go up. And then others said to me, well, in building Fire Station 2, do you think that we are already where we kind of need to be from a fiscal responsible perspective? And so what I'm simply saying that I've said to all of the constituents who have reached out to me, and that is, based on my understanding, all I'm able to share with you is what I know to be factual now. And that's why I'm grateful for this hearing, because I do not represent myself.
Right.
I represent the citizens of Nashville. And that's what's so great about a public hearing. It gives us an opportunity to hear and receive the pros and the cons. So with that being said, I pledge to you to be fiscal responsible. And I know that there's a wonderful price on this particular opportunity. I know that Nashville is experiencing phenomenal growth. It's already out there. It's coming. And if that understanding is that we're so landlocked that we had to lease land for a fire station, we might want to be careful. But there again, I say, as other council members have already stated, if you have something to say, I would appreciate you saying it so that I could honestly represent you in that way. It's the only way we can do it. Thank you.
I think what he said is our vote is not my vote or his vote. My vote is your vote. So I need for you to tell me your feelings, whether it be for or against. I want to hear it.
Do you need a petition?
No, I don't need a petition.
We don't need a
We don't
petition,
need a
just
petition.
please call. But you've got to realize we're working for all of you. We want to do what's best for you and the town. But we don't want to get in a trap that when we need a place, we end up paying $20 million for it. And that's, I mean, we've got to look at the whole big picture, and there's a lot of possibilities of revenue for, like he said, like the older buildings getting grants for that you aren't aware of. But at the same time, we want to do the godly right thing for every citizen and for the town of Nashville. We are not out to get anybody or to play games. We want to do this to be a great town, but we want to do it and expand it in the right way. We don't want to hurt anybody. We truly want to do what's best for every citizen.
That sounds wonderful, but I'm in agreement with it.
Well, that's okay. I'm just telling you my heart, Al.
That's fine. But my
Okay, that's fine. The next item on our agenda, did we come out of...
No.
Mayor, do you want the council to consider the purchase
y'all want to
contract that's on the agenda?
Or do you want to table it, or what? Do I hear a motion?
I would say let's table it, because right now we're at an imbalance as far as council people, and I would like for Kate to be on board before we do anything, so I would like to table it.
I do have a question before we close this.
Please come to the podium if you would, please.
This is a completely different issue than why I'm here though, but I think it's a great opportunity. The kids need somewhere to cool off in the summer.
Amen.
And you got 5.5 acres. I don't know how much this is gonna encompass, but the kids need somewhere to cool off in the summer.
I've been working on a splash pad ever since I've been on this council.
Wonderful.
And I
Continue to
think
do that.
We're closer than we've ever been, but I haven't seen any dirt turned yet.
Okay. So how far are we looking ahead?
End of the year.
End of the year?
Wonderful.
You heard him say end of the year.
Great.
To get started.
Oh, Lord, okay.
Okay, yeah.
If we make a motion can we bring this back on the next agenda?
We sure can. Maybe on the next agenda too, we'll have a proposal from Dawson Construction for you to consider.
We have some more numbers.
You know, without acting on this contract, we don't have anything binding the church to hold that property for us. So if they have other offers out there, they're going to likely consider those and maybe act on that, just so the council's aware. The nice thing about what we had on tonight's agenda, if we approve entering into this contract, we got the 60-day due diligence
right.
period,
So we need to
but we
really
also
hurry in.
lock the property up so it can't be sold during that 60-day look-see period.
So if we agree to it, we still are not locked in until we get all the estimates, and right? Is that right, Raz?
Yes, Mayor, let me just offer one clarifying comment. The due diligence period includes the typical site investigations, title investigations, and so forth that most purchasers will have by contract. You get an occasion to examine the property. But this due diligence period is not open-ended. It's not simply saying if we change the town's mind concerning this. It relates to site inspections, code compliance, $5,000 earnest money. So it is not an option that simply says we are asking you to keep the property off the market for 60 days.
Right.
And at the end of 60 days, for any reason or no reason, we can decide not to close. So just be aware that as it's drafted now, it's essentially code compliance. And I think that would include building code compliance in the buildings, elevator. I'm not sure it would cover, investigating water and sewer adequacy coming to the building. That is lateral infrastructure going to the building, road access issues. It relates to inspections on this site. Now, we could potentially discuss with the owner whether the business terms of the agreement could be modified a little bit to make it more like an option agreement, so the town, because you see purchase contracts that say that after the period, the prospective purchaser can decide not to close for any reason or no reason. That's not what this agreement says. So it's just something that needs to be looked at fairly closely to make sure you understand what is going on during the 60-day period and what options the town has concerning closing or not closing at the end of that 60-day period. I would suggest that it might be something that those business terms could be further discussed with the owner to perhaps give the town a little more flexibility in that regard, because it is not completely flexible at this point.
Randy, have our 60 days already been started counting already?
No.
It has not?
That's after contract execution.
Okay, all right. So we've got time.
Who holds the deed to the property? I mean, does it belong to the church? Who's on it?
Al, would you mind stepping to the podium so we can get your comments for the record?
Whose name is on the deed to the property? Does it belong to the church or is it to an individual or a couple? Okay, so it's going to go to the church. So why can't the due diligence be done before we enter into a contract? That's the part I don't understand. Like before I bought my house, I had things done before I put a deposit down. Why do we need to lose $5,000? Why can't we just pay for, the things we need to find out?
Because someone else could come in and buy it while we're interested in it.
Raz can likely answer that question for you.
Sure, if I may. Typically, a deposit shows the good faith commitment of the seller to sell and the buyer to buy. If there is not that commitment, there's no agreement that the seller will follow through and close on the sale. Similarly, the town is not borrowed. And typically, the thinking is that if a seller is going to take their property off the market for a period of time, time has value. Time.
So
is worth
the
money.
property is on the market.
Well, it's
That's
there.
the question.
And
Is it on
who
the
knows? Who knows? But if the town wants to make certain that it has the ongoing, continuing
I'm asking,
right.
is the property on the market? Is there a for sale sign in front of it?
I asked the city manager, the town manager, that I don't know if it's on the market or just simply the church's.
I mean, does anyone know? I mean, is there a for sale sign?
There's not a for sale sign in front of the property, but it's for sale.
Okay, I understand.
But they don't have a for sale sign. I hadn't seen one out there.
Okay.
Yes.
Tony Koenig, 708 Westview Court, Nashville. I'm not sure which way I would go under. There's no plus and minuses to it. There's another way of looking at this also. Okay, let's say 10 years down the road, the town doesn't grow south. Let's say it grows north for whatever reason. What's to say 10 years down the road, we decide we made a mistake? Well, if we put up the improvements in this building, what's to say we can't sell it down the road and get our money back? certainly not going to depreciate value, right? So if we make a mistake, it's a possibility we could sell the building down the road and get our money back. So are we going to be anything out 10 years down the road? Maybe we will, maybe we won't, but my bet is it's not going to depreciate. So, and who knows, 10 years from now, the town there may be a building that opens up downtown somewhere. Town hall has moved, what, 4 times now in maybe 30 years? Let's say 10 years now, town hall to move it again. So yeah, we have the building. Well, 10 years down the road, we sell it at a profit. It's just another way of looking at it.
Thank you. Larry?
One thing that bothers me is the location of it. And that's everybody know, I guess everybody knows what I'm talking about. So that's kind of one thing. I suggest if you want it, to maybe go ahead and put 5,000 on it. But ask for 90 days or 120 days as opposed to 60. I've been doing some things lately, and I'm telling you what, people that are good at what they do are busy. Construction folks and people like that, and get all pertinent figures in. We're gonna have to do the water works and all that. I mean, you need to know what it's gonna cost you.
I agree.
But you need to know how much money you got. And what it's going to cost you, and then that'll kind of help you make some decisions. There's land right out here. I mean, it's got a for sale sign on it. Out on 64 going towards Momire. I don't know how many acres it is. A lot of them, but that's just another option. Land out that way, but get all the figures. Ask the sellers to work with us for, I'd say, at least 90 to maybe 120 days to be sure we can get all your ducks in a row before you go through with it. Thanks.
Michael?
My name is Michael Johnson. I live at 822 South Creek Drive, Nashville, and I'm the pastor of this church. I just want to say that everybody is talking and from economic terms, and I understand that. But let me just say a little. Can I say something from my heart that does nothing with economics? And I know you have to. The Bible even says to count the cost. But my dad, and I'm not here to give a sad story. It's uplifting, really. My dad founded this church. We started in a little place in Momire 47 years ago this year. And in 2022, he passed away with COVID. In about 20 days, he passed away. He always had a vision years ago for this facility to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ to the lost and to help people in the community. Now, this community, what we're about to proposing is to sell this facility to the town. And I know you have to count the cost, and everything in life is a risk, but it's not going to be if the town buys it in per se a ministry of the gospel of Jesus Christ, but in a sense it is. And there's a lot of young people that will be blessed by this. A lot of after school programs people have not even said anything about. Something that's much deeper than economics. So when you consider this, I want you to consider that more than just cost. And I believe it's a great opportunity. And you say, well, yeah, you would say that because you're selling it. Look, I don't get the proceeds from it. We're incorporated. It would go back into our treasury, and then at some point we may even build a facility on our own property. But we want it to, we want this to be a blessing to our community. We could have sold it for more, but we wanted to be fair. We went with what the appraiser basically said in a fair market value. And I just want people to consider more than just economics, even though that's very important. I want you to consider it could change, it could keep somebody from after school programs, it could change their life. They could send them in, they could be going in the wrong direction and go in the right direction because of the activities and the things. It's more than just pickleball. It's creating relationships. And so in a way, that ministry would still be going on. And that's just what I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson. Michael. With Raz's help and with Raz's approval, would you adjust the 5,000 due diligence to a typical due diligence for 90 days, where we would, if we walked away, we'd lose $5,000?
You mean extend it from 60 to 90?
And make the 5,000 for any reason?
I don't know what you're asking.
Bill, you might let the attorneys talk with him about that if you want to have it adjusted, don't you
Well,
think?
I'm trying to make it move forward.
The way it is, if I understand it right now, it's the $5,000 is earnest money, and if the property goes through and it's purchased by the town, that will just come off the initial $500,000.
Correct.
And it will only be pay $495,000. So that's what it is now. I don't quite understand what you're asking. I will be able to, I'm open to anything.
Well, there's a difference of what normal due diligence is and what Raz described, and so that's what we're talking about.
If I may, Mayor and members of the council, the business terms of this proposed contract, I was not a part of. I really wasn't sure how, to the basics, the negotiation of terms were at this point. This was just suggested terms, 60 days, $5,000 due diligence, with it being creditable should the sale go through.
Right.
It would not be returned to the town should the sale not go through. Right. Those were really just, I inserted those. Those were really not the result, I don't think, of business discussions between the town
One of the
and
reasons
the church.
if I may, one of the reasons we did that, we had a couple of interested parties, and so the reason we did that is it wanted to be fair. When I met with Mr. Lansing and with Mayor Brown, and if we wanted to be fair and talked it out, that, in other words, during that 60-day due diligence, that we obliged to not contact anybody else that was interested at all, and that's the only reason that's one of the reasons we set it up that way. I don't know if that makes any sense or not to you.
It sounds like what Randy proposed is where we are. What Raz said is not where we are. So.
Well, Raz is saying that our option not to purchase at the end of 60 days is more restricted than what I was saying.
Correct.
And in my view, I drafted a sample set of business terms just really to give suggestions and to give the manager and council members a format. I mean, it's a point where discussions begin. I have not been privy to the discussions of the business terms.
Okay, so what do we need to do, Raz?
I would suggest, I think
We want
that
to make sure that we can keep it in case the citizens and everybody decides. So what do we need to do?
I hear that. What I hear is what the council, the concerns you've raised. I think you'd like a little bit more flexibility on the due diligence and the opportunity to decide after, say, 90 days or 120 days that the numbers don't work out. And that certainly can be structured that way. But in terms of what that means, in terms of the amount of the due diligence period, whether it's creditable, whether it's refundable or not, that is normally done at the staff level. I think I would just suggest that.
We're not saying it's refundable. We're just saying we could walk away, lose that, and walk away.
You're like you say we can walk away in 90 days and lose that.
Correct.
Exactly. And like I say, we could convert this
That's what normal due diligence
to a contract that says that it's going to be 120 days or 90 days, and the town reserves a right at the end of that period to not close for, in the contract languages, for any reason or no reason. Now, that
So are
changes
you-
the agreement, and that needs
So
to
are
be
you
discussed.
you're saying just to basically extend what we got now, instead of 60 days, make it 90 days? And the language is still the same?
Well,
Is that what
it's
you're
the same to you and the same to us, but we got to make sure it's the same on paper. Because I think we all agree what the terms are, but for some reason the paper doesn't match up, I guess.
Well, I mean, they can, but they haven't been negotiated with the church yet to see if they are in agreement with those terms, I guess is my point. What I have suggested to you is that if the town wants to consider the cost of water upgrades and extensions to serve the property, if the town wants to consider the cost of sewer service to the property, any road upgrades that need to be made.
We need a simple-
those
all
are-
we have to do is make the contract say any or no reason at the date agreed upon, and that's all we have to do.
That's right, and my point is the
So what-
present
and I think
agreement
you're in agreement to
is
that,
not
correct?
that is not that broad.
He's agreement to that. We're good with that. Why can't we do that?
We can certainly draft it that way
Council, can we do that?
if the
Asking to
church is in
extend
agreement.
90 days rather than 60.
So 90
Yeah.
days, $5,000. We do the 90 days, check things out, talk to a community, which community has been positive to me. But
me too.
the people in this room haven't called me. My phone number is public.
We originally had talked about that, but we just thought it could be done in a quicker fashion. And I wasn't rushing anybody, but if it needs to be flexible in order to, to accommodate it,
And if we
certainly
can-
I'm flexible.
And if we can walk away or close sooner, we will.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with that.
Okay, that's
all right.
great. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, I guess, do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
So, what we need to do is to approve, just like we're going to, the 1.5 million 3-year purchase contract with the Fellowship Church for 981 Old White Oak Road, and then we can do all the checking out and listening to people, and then we won't lose the property, but we can do our due diligence.
So we're changing it to 90 days rather than 60.
And back out for any or no reason.
And then
Right.
back out for any no reason.
Right. So do I hear a motion that we do this?
I moved it. Go ahead.
Second?
I'll second it first. I don't care.
Okay.
I moved that we redo the agreement for 90 days at the same stated price. We can back out for or against at any time, or we can close any time in between.
Okay, and he seconds it. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the conveyance of Lot 3, Nashville Business Center to Nash County Public Hearing.
So Mayor and Council, as you know, the town owns a property in the Nashville Business Center, 101 Industry Court, and we entered into a interlocal agreement with Nash County to jointly build a shell building on that property. Our part of the deal is we had to make the property site or shovel ready. We got grant funding from the Golden Leaf to do that. That's been complete. Nash County has let bid on building a 40,000 square foot shell building at that location, and they will award a contract on that at their May 5th commissioners meeting. In between time, per our interlocal agreement, we need to convey ownership of this property from the town to Nash County. And that's what's on the agenda here. We have scheduled a public hearing for the town's conveyance of that land to Nash County for no consideration, no exchange of money. Just, we give you the land, you put a 4.5 million shell building on it. And we published notice of that public hearing would be tonight, and it was published in the April 4th and 11th edition of the Graphic. And upon conclusion of that public hearing here this evening, the council can consider resolution 16 conveying ownership of that property to Nash County.
Do I hear a motion that we open the public hearing?
I moved to open the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here that would like to comment on this Is this,
This is where he is, yeah, this is his turn.
That's what he was going.
Steve, is this your time to enter the stage?
This is your time.
Great. Thank y'all for having me.
You waited patiently.
My name is Steve
Thank you,
Davis.
Steve.
I'm a resident of Lakeview Drive. The Nashville Business Center is adjacent to the western side of Lakeview Drive. When this project was conceived, probably about 2000, I think Mr. Taylor might have been on the board then or something, I'm not sure. There was a meeting in the Old Town Annex about the development of this property, which the property owners got letters. So obviously, a few of us on the west side of Lakeview Drive, we came to the meeting, and then we saw the plan, right? And what happened is the plan really pushed in right on our property line. I mean, 1 foot from our houses. It was development right there. So everybody said, oh, let's stop. We need a buffer, right? And the town agreed. It is a buffer there that is 300 foot long with a 5-foot berm with probably 60 cedar trees there starting at the end of the subdivision, and it intersects my property. It stops right there. Now, why it stopped there was the water tower was built, and then it was no more development for numerous years until the cheese factory and then the car factory, but that was on the other side. Now what's happened, the development is adjacent to our property, right? And has been a lot of environmental issues going on there. Air pollution, water pollution. My property has been flooded three times by a bad environmental hydraulic plant. I'm very familiar with hydraulic plants. That was one of my jobs working with the state of North Carolina. Okay, I'll move on. Okay, you have air pollution, you have noise pollution, you have light pollution, you have water pollution. Now what's happening with the growth, they're putting up new lights in the business center, right? Now all this land has been cleared over the last year. Then the hydraulic plant came into play. All right, what's happening now is so many lights that when I look out my back door, it's just lit up. This is where the buffer will come into play and shield the rest of the community from those lights, right? And other issues with that. And I think the previous town councils took that into account and saw that. So what I'm asking, and the rest of the residents, and I've talked to everyone, they want this buffer to intersect, to continue from my property, across my property, all the way to the right-of-way to Western Avenue. The same berm, maybe a nicer tree that have a long life and won't rot away or something like that. They're out there to make this a nice and clean area, to separate us from this business center. And I'm all for managed growth. And this shell building, what Mr. Lanston talking about, obviously, that's a good thing, right? But then it comes, all the factors that comes along with it, right? Now, what you're gonna put in that shell building, that's another issue. We don't want anything that's gonna, they gotta work 3 shifts, that's noise pollution, right? Unless it's concealed on the side of the building, you know what I'm saying? So, you can put a company there that's gonna fit within the residential community so they can coexist together. Right now, we're having a problem with that. So the EMS center has already been built. We were very surprised how in proximity they put the EMS center, and so close to the neighborhood. Okay, that's there now, so that's another issue. I mean, we can scratch that, you know. But the lights from the EMS center were so bright. My neighbor, he had to put black curtains in the back of his house until he walked over there one day and said, please turn these lights off. I cannot see in my house. Now, it sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not. So what I'm asking is, oh, okay.
No, just finish it up.
Okay. Please continue this buffer. Intersect this buffer all the way to the right of way to Western Avenue with a nice berm, some nice trees, and then we can kind of clean up the lights, the sound, and hydraulic issues with a big scale building. Now that's a whole lot of hydraulic runoff. Now what they did initially when they cleared the land, okay, they ran the sediment control pond straight at our house, which is the lowest elevation. It's a difference of 10 feet from the top of the hill down to my house, to the subdivision. So the hydraulic, what I'm saying, the next hydraulic study you have, it needs to be dead on, right? And not just run a sediment control ditch down to the lowest point of the elevation. It needs to be well, you know what I'm saying. Everybody knows what we're talking about here.
And we'll look, and thank you for sharing, and we'll look in, I'll
Okay.
have the manager.
Let's continue that berm. I mean, that
And we'll
buffer.
look back at the notes and everything to see what they did, but thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate your honesty
Thank
and
you.
coming and sharing. Are there any other comments? If not, do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
Being no other, I move to close.
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Mayor, I move that we go ahead and convey this property over to Nash County so they can continue what our plans already are.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the Project Lego Development Agreement. So, Randy?
Thank you, Mayor. The town's been actively engaged in pursuing economic development with our economic development partners to bring new jobs, private investment, and economic enhancement to our community and town. And we've had the good fortune of attracting Project Lego. Project Lego proposes to purchase from the town Lot 4 in the Nashville Business Center, which consists of 5.36 acres of land for $134,075. And they propose to construct a 20 to 24,000 square foot manufacturing facility on that property and a 4,000 to 6,000 square foot experience center and office on that property at 111 Industry Court in the Nashville Business Center. And they're proposing to invest $11,555,000 in buildings, facilities, and equipment, and create 24 new full-time jobs with an average annual salary of $63,146. Now, per NC General Statute 158-7.1, the town can enter into an economic development agreement for the sale of real estate for economic development projects after holding a public hearing and voting on a development agreement. The public hearing notice for Project Lego was published in the April 4th and 11th edition of the Nashville Graphic, and the town council may now open and hold a public hearing on this, and after its conclusion, the town council consider execution of the attached development agreement with Project Lego.
Thank you, Randy. Do I hear a motion that we go into public hearing, consider this Project Lego development?
So made.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak at this public hearing concerning the Lego project? If not, do I hear a motion that we come out of our public hearing?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Do I hear a motion that we agree to the development of the Resolution 2024-18, this economic development agreement between the town of Nashville and the Project Lego Company?
I make a motion.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is our budget amendment. Tressa, our finance director.
Good afternoon again. Budget amendment number 14, LBJ donated $2,000 to Parks and Rec to support the youth Karate and Archery Program. Nash Arts donated $4,000 to support music for the Farmers Market and $2,019 to support Arts Education Program. Budget Amendment number 14 increases fiscal year 24 budget. Budget Amendment 14 increases fiscal year 24 budget revenues and expenses by $8,019 for Nashville Junction contract services and Parks and Rec contract services.
Do I hear a motion to approve this budget amendment number 14?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
You'll never turn down donations.
I know. We appreciate the donations that people share with us. Randy, do you have any other comments to the meeting tonight?
I do not, Mayor. Thank you.
Council members, are there any comments from the council?
I just have one. I appreciate everybody coming out. It really means a lot. But, you know, our phones work too. And to call and discuss things ahead of time would be nice, especially when we have positive things happen and people don't come. And so I'm not trying to be negative, but, you know, it's nice to hear good things and bad things, but it's also nice to have a conversation about it too.
Anybody else would like to speak tonight?
I have nothing else, Mayor.
If not, again, we thank you all for coming out, and we hope to see you at our next meeting. Do I hear a motion that we adjourn?
So move.
Second?
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned.